Food poverty isn't really a thing. There's no absence of food in this country. There's an absence of money.
Hi Alison, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Thanks for joining us for this conversation. Obviously, you've been the Chief Exec of Child Poverty Action Group for, I think, almost exactly 10 years now, campaigning to end child poverty. So I just wondered how you felt, what you thought in the summer when you heard about Marcus Rashford's campaign.
Well, it was a fantastic intervention, wasn't it? I mean, who expected it? You know, that this amazing young man, sort of young, charismatic, authentic, speaking from the heart, you know, could actually raise the issue to such a level.
Yeah, he really appealed to so many members of the public, I think. We've seen that with most recently a petition. He's got over 1 million signatures to campaign around this issue. And I think one of the reasons it was so powerful, like you say, is because it really came from the heart. And he talked about his mum. I was so proud of his mum and how she worked so hard to support the family and how difficult that was. And that kind of positive representation of families, you know, doing the right thing, trying to support each other, isn't always one we get in the media. So to get this young black man talking about his own experience in such a powerful, positive way, I think really resonated. And you know, it'd be great to hear more of those kind of voices.
Yeah, it's fantastic, isn't it? It's the voice of lived experience, and that he can, in such a matter-of-fact way, authentically just pinpoint how awful it is not being able to feed your kids and what a struggle that is. Because the temptation in sort of parts of the press and some politicians is to immediately go to, well, why aren't these parents feeding their children? As if it is some kind of willful refusal to feed them. I mean, Marcus Rashford just cut through all of that. And I think that's the kind of key word, isn't it? Cut through. That his charisma, his celebrity, his authenticity means that people just couldn't not listen.
And we know from the statistics that, you know, it's something like 4 million, I'm sure you've got them up to obviously 4 million children in poverty at the moment. It's about 30% of children. 50% of Black British children are in poverty. So there is this additional element around race and ethnicity that we, you know, he has really brought to the fore, and we've just got to try to think about and tackle and really urgently, I think.
Actually, sometimes that's quite hard to talk about because you don't want to stigmatize people. So for someone from that community just openly talking about that experience just cuts through all of that, and it's really great that we've got that side of things. I think one of the things you'd have to say, though, is why have we arrived at this point? Child poverty has risen by 600,000 since 2012. And there's an easy explanation for that. This year, we will be spending 36 billion a year less on social security than we were in 2010.
And that's when Marcus Rashford really came in, wasn't it? And he says he's getting frustrated because, you know, there's not a lot of action. And I imagine you must share some frustration as a campaigner. You know, how do you keep going as a campaigner? How do you achieve change on, you know, whatever scale it is, a kind of, you know, relatively small win, or the bigger picture, the bigger change that we might want to see?
Well, of course, public opinion is incredibly important, and this is where Marcus Rashford comes in. This campaign has come at just the right time, so that, you know, public opinion can ride on, can identify something, and something very concrete like food, that they feel where something can be done. For campaigners, our problem is that the main issues are really structural issues, that 72% of poor children have working parents. We know who they are now. We've seen them in the pandemic, you know, the care workers, the nursing assistants, you know, people working as porters and cleaners and all the rest of it. We know who they are, and they've kept the country going.
The levels of support people have, the level of income just isn't enough to make ends meet, not just around food, but also in terms of having technology so that young children can participate in online learning and so on, just having a roof over your head, all the heating the home, all those kinds of things are so important. And that bigger picture, food poverty is absolutely, you know, key, but there's a broader aspect to this, isn't there, that campaigners need to kind of engage with too.
One of my concerns is that we're kind of going down the road of kind of in-kind responses, that the answer to food poverty is food. Well, food poverty isn't really a thing. There's no absence of food in this country. There's an absence of money. And it's not just money for food, it's money for other things too. And no amount of food charity is going to end child poverty. But nevertheless, this creates a fantastic opportunity to kind of surf the wave and get all those other issues in. So I wouldn't knock it for a minute.
Now, I think Marcus Rashford has done an amazing job to get this issue on the agenda, to get it discussed publicly in such a positive way. And there's so much more we can talk about and we need to tackle, but it's really got that there and captured the public imagination. So I hope he continues and we can, work with him and others to try to end child poverty.
Absolutely.